Sounds good. Okay, here we go. Hello. Hey, welcome. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Cincinnati. We are Club 17, 17th club out of 46,000 worldwide. We were founded in 1910, so we're in our second century of service to this great city, and our motto is service above self. We have another great program in store. Adrian Melendez, the director of operations for Amazon Air Hub, is our guest speaker today. Adrian, I think someone came to my door with an Amazon package at 4 a.m. this morning. You are a very busy man. We are most appreciative of you taking the time to share with us something about Amazon Air Hub, and we really look forward to your comments. We're going to begin our meeting with the national anthem, led by Janet Metzelaar and accompanied by Steve Haber, followed by the four-way test and invocation by Steve Dreyfel. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thanks, President Steve. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Father in heaven, thank you for bringing us together today for conversation, fellowship over wonderful food, and an opportunity to learn from our speaker. We live in a community blessed with unique and caring businesses. We thank you for companies such as Amazon that provide thousands of jobs and a service where we can order an item and have it show up on our doorstep in a very short period of time. Their focus on customer service is truly remarkable. As Rotarians, we work to follow our motto of service above self, a motto designed to focus us on helping others throughout our community, our country, and the world. We are thankful that we have the opportunity to help those who are in need, those who may be in crisis or lack the basic necessities of life. We, as Rotarians, have a diverse set of skills and abilities that you have blessed us with. We ask that you guide our club and us as individuals, using us as vessels to serve others. Father, today we'll be honoring the memory of fellow Rotarian Ron Ott. He is with you, Father, and with the love of his life, his wife, Lynn. Many of us had the privilege of knowing Ron, a man of the highest integrity who loved and served his community, a servant leader, a family man who loved and adored his family, and a mentor to many. Thank you for enriching our lives by sending us Ron, who truly embodied our Rotary motto of service above self. Amen.
Amen.
And now please join me in reciting the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Please remain standing.
And now a memorial to our friend Ron, Jim Eichmann.
Thank you, President Steve. At Ron's funeral, his pastor stated that Ron lived a radiant life. He was a loved and respected member of their community. The pastor went on to explain that as a husband, dad, brother, grandfather, friend, and I'll add, a Rotarian, Ron lived radiantly because of the way he lived his life and his friendships and impact on others. He helped others see the finer points in their lives and experience joy and happiness and laughter. Of course, laughter. That laughter was radiant, for sure. Boy, could Ron make you laugh. I'm sure those of you that knew Ron are thinking of one, or probably several, of his best one-liners right now. But I won't dwell on those because, as Ron would say, come on, our lunch is getting cold. Ron was also a great American, not only because his Deer Park High School buddy Willie Cunningham said he was, but Lieutenant Ron lived it in the best way, fighting for his country in Vietnam. He recounted to me many times how that war was difficult to be involved in, and despite your views, he defended his country and followed his orders. It was sad as he recounted his entry back into the States after the war, as others were disrespectful of any vet involved. However, he proudly wore the veteran's ball cap of a Vietnam vet. And all of you know of his relationship with his wife, Lynn, who died earlier last year. His high school sweetheart, they were married for over 50 years. His proud daughters, admittedly his greatest achievement, are here today. Carrie Cronenberger and her husband, John, and Shannon Vasconcelos. Her husband, Tim, couldn't be here today, but he's a great guy too. Good son-in-laws and great daughters. And of course, they produced some grandchildren. Matter of fact, 5 grandchildren, all of whom Ron and Lynn loved so much. Ron's proudest moments, he told me, were when he heard his 2 girls repeat to their own children one of his many own inspirational parental guidelines, those one-liners as well. He said, as he said to them when they were growing up all the time, and if you haven't had enough of Ron in your life, you can always invite his younger brother, Terry, to spend time with you. Terry's here today as well. Terry's a great guy, and he continues to be just as funny and irreverent as Ron was. Ron graduated from Ohio University in radio and TV communications and received his MBA from Xavier University. Ron's working career spanned over 35 years at Cincinnati Bell, where we worked together for many of those years. In fact, we were in the same management training class at the beginning of our careers. Ron retired as Vice President of Sales at Cincinnati Bell. Ron also volunteered for many things in the community besides Rotary, among them fundraising for Xavier University, and he read to the blind weekly at radio reading service, using his best radio and TV talents to entertain those who could not see to read. Much of it was sports related. He loved all sports and knew more sports trivia than most of us, with maybe Jim Crowley as the exception. The Rotary was important to Ron, and he was a member of Rotary since 1988 for 34 years. As a proud Rotarian, Ron enjoyed the weekly meeting camaraderie, the great speakers, the many social gatherings we had, and the wonderful service Rotary members performed unselfishly around our city and the world. Ron served on the Jefferson Committee and was a Rotary bowler. In fact, you may have seen some guys in their Rotary bowling shirts today just to honor Ron. He was also a member of the Rotary Board of Directors and was the Rotary President in the years 2005-2006. Well, I have much more on Ron that I could go on about, but remember, our lunch is getting cold. We will have a moment of silence now, and when the bell is rung, I will ask everyone to say, all at once, what Ron always said at the conclusion of our luncheon prayer and the Rotary four-way test. Not now, after the bell. A moment of silence for Ron, please.
You're going to hit B. John, Carrie, Terry, Shannon, We miss our friend Ron. Thank you, Jim, for that lovely memorial. I have here a plaque I wanted to give to the family. We shared Ron for 34 years. Ron's past president badge is marked in the honor of Ron Ott, Cincinnati Rotarian since 1988, service above self. Now to welcome our guests and prospective members, Stephanie Sheard.
Good afternoon. I have the pleasure of introducing our guests and prospective members. When I say your name, if you would please rise so we can give you a warm Rotary Club 17 welcome. First, we have Elliot Grossman with Ashshire Communications. He's the guest of Jim Yunker and Janet Burns. And Valerie Hale. She's the guest of Pat Neal Miller. Welcome.
Elliot and Valerie, welcome. Hope you enjoy your lunch and our meeting today, and hope you come back and join us in service. All right, a few announcements. This week's meeting is sponsored by Rotarian Bonnie Reddig. Bonnie, thank you very much for sponsoring membership development. Please wish a happy birthday to those members celebrating birthdays this week. Tomorrow is Gary Mitchell, and Sunday is Doug Adams. Family of Rotary News. Oh, hey. The delayed clap for the birthdays. Thank you. More good news. Hux Miller shares that Dr. Charles Pierce is home, resting, feeling better, and, as you might imagine, eager to come back to Rotary. So he's coming back next week, he says. Split the pot. All right. Split the pot veterans. What is our total today? Do you know? Is it listed here? Am I missing it? 1846 is the revolving pot. So there's some real money on the line. Now, do you know what the day's pot is, Christy? $53. All right. So winning ticket gets $53 and a chance to pull for the Queen of Hearts if you are a Cincinnati Rotarian. All right, last three digits are 288. 288, do we have a winner? Hey, hey, all right. Oh, so close. Christy, how many cards are left? All right, the pot continues to grow. All right, the next neighborhood coffee will be next Tuesday, April 25th, 8 a.m. at Unataza Coffee in Dayton, Kentucky. That is just over the Big Mac Bridge next to Bellevue, Kentucky. See the DAC-DB calendar for more information and RSVP. Michael Schatzman has personally challenged the World Affairs Committee to bring more prospective members than he does. Current tally, World Affairs has 4 prospective members. Michael Schatzman has 5. Who's going to be the big winner next Tuesday? Be there to find out. Thank you, Michael. Bob McElroy mentioned that Rotary Euchre is also next Tuesday. They have a room for a few more euchre players. If you'd like to play euchre, call Bob or look on DAC-DB for more information. Next Friday, April 28th, will be Rotary After Hours, held at the beautiful home of Uta and Hans Popke. Starts at 5 p.m., ends to be determined when the party stops. RSVP in DAC-DB. Also next Friday, April 28th, is the Rotary District 6670 Annual Conference at the Sycamore Creek Country Club. Great opportunity to meet with Rotarians around the district. I think there are 5 or 6 of us going from this club at least. I think there's still room for more. If you'd like to attend, look on DAC-DB. It's right in the calendar. I also wanted to take a moment and share a word about the email that I sent club-wide yesterday. Bob McElroy reminded me that it came from King Steve. I don't know who did that, but I appreciate it. I did not, somehow DAC, I think maybe Christie's to blame, but it's okay. You know, there was a lot in that email. In the spirit of transparency, your board wanted to make sure that we communicated clearly and effectively. And I just thought I'd share just a few more words about follow-up about what's going to be happening over the next few weeks. So the thrust of the email is that beginning in July, beginning of the next Rotary calendar, we will be meeting regularly at the Phoenix. It's a big change from what we've been doing for a long time. And it was a long process to arrive at that conclusion. Hopefully, if you are interested in additional details, there's a lot in that email to give you some context. But the conclusion is that what was beneficial to all concerned was that it was time to shift the club's regular meeting to another delightful venue with great parking, beautiful space, and a very flexible and accommodative staff that can help us to manage some rather shocking food inflation. So appreciate all of your support. There will be no change to the remainder of the Rotary calendar as scheduled. We will be here at the Hilton, and whenever they have room for us, and then of course there'll be a few road shows between now and then as well. I have loved the Hilton. I love the Hilton staff. We have negotiated with them in good faith, and we are on excellent terms. If anything should change with the Hilton ownership and with the Hilton options, we are welcome to return. Just know that we will keep you all informed as we'll share more information about the coming changes in the weeks ahead. But again, I really appreciate all your support. I think we have learned at the board level through all of this that there's more to the club than just a location, right? It is where our purpose and shared passions lie and our shared fellowship. So I appreciate all your support, and stay tuned for more information. Coincidentally, we're meeting at the Phoenix next week. This was not part of the original plan, but it just works out that way. I mentioned in the email yesterday that to help save food costs, we won't be having some elements of our traditional lunch going forward. But for the remainder of this year, we will have salads and desserts. So our waistlines will have to wait until July 1 before we make any changes to the menu. But the staff at the Phoenix and Sarah and Christy wanted us all to know that we need to get advanced RSVP for the meal choices next week. And so that alert has already gone out. Christy, I think, sent that out earlier today. We need RSVPs by the end of Friday. So it's Police Appreciation Week, so get your meal choice in and RSVP early. Thank you. Okay. I think that is all I have, and I'd like to turn this podium over to Jack Scott to introduce our program.
Thank you, President Steve. President Steve sent me a text, and he knew how much I and others thought of Ron. He also, I believe, had heard a story that I had told to a select few. Ron Ott was really special to me during my presidency. We were heavily involved with the membership campaign. It was called March Madness. We had to get really good speakers. I had lined up Bobby Plump from the movie Hoosiers and to come in and speak. And I found out at 3 o'clock the day before his speaking that he had been hospitalized. Along the way, we'd already made arrangements with one of our local TV stations to interview him before the meeting and to broadcast it that next evening. Obviously, it was a tough call to receive, and I spoke to his son-in-law. I said, "Can you speak on his behalf?" And he said, "No, I wouldn't do it justice." But he said, "Give me an hour." Well, in the meantime, I called Linda Muth, and we developed a plan, and we said, well, we have until 4 o'clock. And at 4 o'clock, we're going to move forward with some other plan. And I knew that would be disastrous, but we had no choice. But sure enough, at 3:45, I get a call back from Rick. And he said, "I've got good news. If you want them, I can get 2 of the other team members, the leading scorer, Ray Kraft, and the center, Glenn White." And I said, "Go. We're ready." They were coming from Indianapolis. So it was quite a thing to happen. It was really miraculous. But along with that, Linda and I got together and said, now what do we do? These guys, obviously, they haven't polished a speech or anything. They know very little about our club. And we concluded that the way to do it was with a panel. We needed a sports moderator. Well, you know who came to mind? Ron Ott. Ron Ott. And Ron Ott would always say, "Put me in, coach." That was one of his favorite sayings. So I called him up, and it was like 5 o'clock. I said, "Ron, I've got a favor to ask." He said, "Don't take long because I've got bowling." Ties together with this bowling. Wednesday night. I said, "I need you to do this." And I told him what it was. He said, "I'll do it, but I won't be able to develop questions until after I get back from bowling or first thing in the morning." I said, "That's wonderful. All I wanted was any show to go on. And not the show." Ron came in. He met with everyone, with the two speakers a little bit in advance, and had developed some questions. And he said, "I've got one unrelated to baseball I'm going to ask them." And Liz Bonas had her interview. That went very well. Ron gets up here, and he does just an unbelievable job, and these guys were the best speakers. Hit it out of the park, far better than Bobby could have done. For those of you who weren't here. For those who were, I think know that. But in any case, at the end, he said, "Okay, this is my special question." He said, "What makes you the most proud of all the things you've done in your life?" And the two of them looked at each other. He said, "It's the fact that 6 of us still meet. All 6 of us have celebrated at least 60 years of marriage." And Ron wanted to hear that. He wanted us to hear that. And it's a tribute to Ron and the relationship that he had with his wife, Lynn. And at the end, he said, "I hope Lynn and I can celebrate that as well." Obviously, it didn't happen, but I can tell you they spent a lot of great years together. So that's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, family, for supporting him at Rotary. But now I've got to get on with what I was paid to do, and that's introduce our speaker, Adrian Melendez. Adrian's been referred to in a lot of different ways, and probably the one that stuck out most to me, and I went online. Of course, you can get all kinds of stuff online. You got a lot of great comments, by the way, so you got a lot of supporters. But he was viewed as a force multiplier. And I thought, gosh, what a great thing to be called by your peers. And he was called a force multiplier. In 2021, Adrian came to our area as director of operations for the new Amazon hub. It was always his dream to return to Kentucky. Kentucky's where his roots were, happened to be Dawson Springs. And for those of you who don't recognize that name, that is where the brunt of the terrible tornado of December of 21 hit. You probably saw it, maybe didn't recognize it because there wasn't much there to be recognized. So he became the executive leader to America's largest field operation on the planet. Yes, sounds a little bit like Bill Stilley there, but anyway, it's the truth. The facility is the second largest shipping and fulfillment center in the world and serves as the primary hub for Amazon's air cargo network. Since 2010, Amazon has done so much for the state of Kentucky and for the United States. But in Kentucky alone, they've added 18,000 jobs. They've invested more than $20 billion in the state of Kentucky alone. So we love them over there. We love them here. They're just unbelievable. This facility has transformed our region and continues to drive employment and our infrastructure needs. I'm on SD1, the sanitation district, so we know we had to jump through a lot of hurdles, but they were good hurdles to jump because growth is great. Adrian received his degree from the University of Louisville. He and his family of wife and 4 daughters live in Independence, Kentucky. He enjoys serving others and is active in the Civil Air Patrol, Habitat for Humanity, and the Special Olympics. Kind of sounds like a Rotarian, doesn't it? One of the other things that came out of some of the comments made about him, they talked about his selfless service and his ability to just jump in and do things that were not a part of his job description without saying a word. What a leader you are. And I can tell you from the fact that even during design and construction, because we do a ton of work with Amazon and we're fortunate enough to work on this facility, their mantra of on-time deliveries is practiced everywhere, including construction. Construction is a hard thing to put your arms around that, but they really pursue that. How about a hearty welcome to Adrian, and thank you for coming.
Well, good afternoon. Those extra tips to get the packages delivered really early really paid off on the intro today, so I'll make sure we continue to do that for the Steves and Jack. But like the introduction, my name is Adrian Melendez. I've been with Amazon for coming on 13 years now. I started there right out of college, as a new kid. I spent several years in the air cargo business with UPS in Louisville, at their big air hub there. Before really starting my journey with the business. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is it's a little bit about the impact that the Air Hub has here in our community, but also how the magic works in the background for Amazon. So what we see as you may have bought something off Amazon once or twice, like a click on a website is a tremendous lift on the background by a lot of really talented people across the country, and especially here in our community, to deliver big. I'm going to change this view really quick. There we go. So we have a saying in Amazon that we want to be Earth's most customer-centric company, and it's an item that we went back to as a business. We started back in 1994. One of our tidbits, our first Amazon aircraft, its tail number is Nancy 1994. So super, a lot of those kind of Easter eggs are in our business, but we always ask ourselves, is this good for the customer? And that's the driving force of our business and how we make decisions. As I was listening to, this is my first experience with Rotarians, but when they talked about the 4 creeds and is this good for the folks around us, it really resonates well with what we do in our business and how we structure and where we go. So our target is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, and that's driven us to, we started selling books out of a bookstore in a garage in Bellevue, Washington, to today where we like to think of ourselves as the everything store, both for durable products and goods, but also cloud computing, web services, video, and now air cargo. So this is, we call it the flywheel at Amazon as we think about how we want to speed growth and speed, that customer service. So we think a lot about speed as that click to deliver time, right? Like, hey, I bought last night, one of my kids needed a certain thing for a school or a book or something, and waking up in the next day at 6 a.m. To a ring notification that at 4 o'clock somebody left a package on your doorstep. We think of that speed, but also like flywheels and speed are what power our business. So as you can see here, this is what we use in the company to think about like how we're going to drive that growth that we've had over the past 30 years. So all the growth is really fueled by the customer experience. Customers aren't just the folks that like us that are buying things off of our website, but they're also the sellers that are in our community. There are partners that are delivering packages, our delivery station partners that are also business owners in our community. And like all that customer experience ultimately drives growth, and it drives word of mouth, and it drives more traffic to the site. So what we do, we bring customers a wider selection faster. I'm super humbled and fortunate to lead a large operation at the airport that's some of our fastest shipping across the country. But we've got a great delivery fleet around here that are owned by our local businesses that are delivering those packages final to the door. So a little bit about what that journey looks like. This is like the how of delivery. So it all starts with your click, right? So when you are needing that item, that widget, you see it on the website, and maybe you click to buy it. Well, in the background, ideally that package is super close to you. It's one of our fulfillment centers, maybe up in Columbus or right across the river here in Hebron, Kentucky. And we can get that out and delivered to you today. But sometimes, maybe you're super passionate about that Dallas Cowboys 1994 calendar that we've got one of, and that one item is in Dallas, Texas, of course. So that's where Amazon Air comes in. So after you hit that click, the promise you see on the website is based upon how long it's going to take that package to go through all of our steps to get to your doorstep. It all starts with a click. Once the click, one of our fulfillment centers, one of our associates will pick that item from a bin. That bin will go through a packing process. Maybe you also bought some other items that are going to go with it. It'll get combined as a multi-order at our fulfillment center, and it really starts the journey logistically. And what you're seeing behind us is a little bit about what we do at the Air Hub. So it leaves that fulfillment center, goes to one of our air sites across the country, flies into CVG, and this is a little bit of what we do right across the river. So we have 600 acres developed at the CVG airport. We are the largest Amazon facility on the planet, and that's right here, and that's home, which I'm very, very humbly proud of. One of our associates will unload that package, and then we leverage like some of the most advanced robotics that is right now in sortation and delivery and fulfillment to shepherd that item along its path. The cool part in what you see is, it gets to land in a big airplane, which looks really cool. All of our airplanes are on their second life, so they've previously flown passengers all around the world, and they've entered a new career as a cargo aircraft. So we have several planes across the country. Our team receives them at the site. We sort those packages, and they leave our facility, and they go out to one of our delivery stations here in the area and end up on your doorstep the next day. There's a lot of teams that make something like that possible. So when you think of us, you probably think of fulfillment centers or delivery drivers, but really the mechanics and the innovation that our company drives come from our core teams that you see here. These 6 teams are responsible for really Amazon going from a garage-based business and growing up to be, what we want to be the leader in online retail. These teams, between the technology we use on the cloud, the technology we use in our fulfillment centers with our associates, and the automation that we have are what have what allowed us to scale and multiply. And all that goes back to thinking about what customers need and not worrying about what they don't. So there's some music. But this is a view of some of the technology that we deploy across our network. It all looks really cool, right? I consider myself very fortunate. I started at Amazon in 2010 at a fulfillment center right outside of Louisville, Kentucky, where I graduated. And think of it as like a big warehouse store. Our associates walked across the whole warehouse. It was 1 million square feet, and they picked items out of bins and the totes to get those. I was fortunate enough to launch our first automated facility that had our Amazon robotics, and you see some of those yellow pods driving around right there. So those pods, instead of those associates having to walk the warehouse, it actually brings the product to them so that their job is easier and they're able to service more customers. So I got to open the first building. I'm super proud of that. I grew up close by here. My wife's from here, and sometimes I reflect back that I'm just a guy that grew up in rural Kentucky, and it's really humbling to be on several firsts for Amazon, and this is one that we're super proud of. So it all started with these robots that drive pods around, and it's grown into robotic arms. It's grown into our sortation robots that we have at KCVG, and we continue to look for these ways that go back to like what makes the experience for the customer better, whether that customer be us buying things online or our associates who are working inside of one of our facilities across the country. And here's a little bit of a deeper dive into some of those technologies.
Welcome to the Fulfillment Technologies and Robotics Process Review. Our teams work together to turn empty buildings into fulfillment centers that deliver products on time while delighting our customers. When you or a loved one order an item on the website, a series of robotics technologies and team members work together to get items from the bin into a box, onto a plane, or into a vehicle that delivers the package right to your door. How do our teams make this vision a reality? Follow me, and I'll show you how each member of Fulfillment Technologies and Robotics makes this possible. In order for the package to get from a bin to you, all the physical hardware must be in place and synchronized. In partnership with the startup team, AR designs and deploys robotics technologies on site. For technology used on site that is made outside of Amazon, like cameras and sortation devices, Amazon Mechatronics works to bring mechatronics, hardware, and software automation to the fulfillment network. When you place your order, AFT synchronizes the technology and people needed and choreographs the relevant stakeholders to get the package to the right place. GoAI works to improve the synchronization with machine learning. OpsTech Solutions provides the information highway needed for site-wide communication. Packaging Innovation works to delight customers by ensuring orders arrive intact while minimizing material and labor costs. Innovation and enhancements extend past fulfillment centers and into the overall fulfillment network thanks to design engineering. BSC develops the roadmap for fulfillment technologies and robotics and defines product development needs over the next 5 years. The Amazon Industrial Innovation Fund continues Amazon's history of innovation through the identification of external emerging technologies. This boosts innovation, builds talent pipelines, and provides early access to new technologies and capabilities that improve the customer and employee experience. As you can see, Fulfillment Technologies and Robotics houses robust teams that make a huge impact on our customers and each other. Thanks for watching.
I know when I thought about Amazon and I first came to the company, like learning about teams like this was one of the things that really surprised me. I was used to just ordering something online and not thinking about how it gets delivered the next day. But there's a lot of work that these teams have put in, and we have a really fortunate to have a talented and diverse workforce from across the country and across the world that makes the unbelievable and the Amazon magic in the background happens. And a lot happens here at home. We heard a lot about the investments in Kentucky, but when we look at Ohio, we've been in Ohio for quite some time. We've invested over $20 billion. And that includes infrastructure and compensation for our folks. And we track about $16 billion has went straight to the GDP for Ohio. And that's like right here at home for like the impact that we've had. Over 37,000 full-time and part-time jobs have been created in the state of Ohio by Amazon. And we estimate around 68,000 indirect jobs. These are the folks that service our buildings, service our equipment, in some way, like they have a job now because there's a big business that's local to them, and it drives that economic growth. And maybe some of the businesses your work represent are a part of that. But it also goes back to, like we talked about, the sellers. Sellers are customers. So there's 68,000 sellers in the state of Ohio that they leverage Amazon as their marketplace to reach customers all across the world, across the country. We've got over 16 fulfillment centers in the state, 17 delivery stations. But what I'm most proud of, obviously, is we've got a really big air hub right here in our community, and we've got another great air hub in Wilmington, Ohio, as well. We have a huge commitment to our communities, but also to the worldwide. So sustainability is a big part of what we do. And in Ohio alone, we've got 17 solar farms and a wind farm as well. We have a plan to go completely renewable power. And that's a big part of what's going to enable the future of Amazon and the future of those deliveries in our community to make that happen. So we talked about the sellers. Most of the items that you see on Amazon now are actually sold by independent third-party sellers. They're folks in the community. Some of them are buyer sellers. Maybe they have a product that they want to roll out, and this is the mechanism they use. So they don't have to worry about warehousing. They don't have to worry about fulfillment. They don't have to worry about negotiating shipping prices. It kind of folds into our Fulfilled by Amazon model. So we become this one-stop shop for all those items, including marketing, so that they can get their items in front of the customers. Those small and medium businesses are like the heart of not just America, but more specific to what we do as a whole. That's where our growth comes from. That's where our product comes from, and that's what gets items in front of customers to see the selection, which drives the growth flywheel. And one of the items I'm really proud about is our associates. So that's our other customer that we have. When I grew up rural Kentucky, my dad was a coal miner. Mom was a housekeeper at the state park nearby. And paying for college was there's no way that's going to happen. There wasn't money to do that. So I was fortunate to get a career at a place in Louisville that paid for you to go to school at U of L if you worked there. And that was the only way I could get my secondary education. So I worked for it. We joke that a lot of people go to school for 8 years. They're mostly called doctors. But working nights and getting that paid for was an enabler for me to grow. And I'm really proud that we do this for our associates. So as we've grown, we've continued to invest in our team through programs like Career Choice, where we'll pay for their college education, and it's an upfront payment. It's not a reimbursement. They'll get paid. We'll pay the school. They can go. But also we're launching things that are important locally. One of the items that our team is really excited about is a program called Aircraft Maintenance Technician. There's a severe nationwide shortage of aircraft mechanics, and they are vital to keeping not just our aircraft, but the worldwide fleet growing and on time. And so our folks can now go to Cincinnati State and enroll in their aircraft mechanics technician program, and we'll pay for them to go and complete that course while they're working at us either part-time or full-time. But we've also launched programs in cloud computing, mechatronics, robotics, and our technical academies as well for folks that maybe the journey through college wasn't in their path, but they're at a point now where they can capitalize on opportunities in the space and get the skills directly through one of our programs for our associates. And then it goes to, the world. So we talk a lot about, it's really cool that KCBG is the biggest operation on the planet. It's really cool that Amazon is Earth's most customer-centric company. But what does that mean? And it means that we have to take care of the world because the world's take care of us. Through innovations like you may have seen our investment in electric delivery vehicles with Rivian, our partner, all the way to the wind farms and the solar farms that feed our company across the country. For aircraft specifically, we're also heavily invested in sustainable aviation fluid. So this is a new fuel that doesn't come from fossil fuels, and we're a lead purchaser of that, and we've attracted some of the large aircraft and aviation companies are getting on board with us and expanding the need for the sustainable aviation fluid, which limits our carbon impact on the world. And that's a little bit about the background of how items get to you and how we think about customers, and continue to focus on that experience that you may have become accustomed to, but we'd like to delightfully surprise you every day. And so with that, I think I have a few minutes of time for a couple questions.
Yeah, I was curious, what's your
Yeah, that's a great question. It looks really cool. The question is, what's our current capacity or potential to deliver through automated means like drones or delivery? I think that's an area right now across the country, like we're primarily delivering items by person. So you see your delivery driver. Just like all aviation fields, there's a lot of regulation in the drone space, and it changes a lot. I was fortunate to engage with some of the folks in the program, and by the time they would get through regulation for a delivery program, it already changed, and we had to go back to the drawing board. So I think that's a future technology that we maybe see one day. Right now, it's kind of just something you might see on Star Trek or one of those shows, but I don't think that we'll see that here anytime soon. Yes, ma'am.
I love what you were saying about your employees being a customer as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about your internal resource groups and how that helps to build the culture within Amazon?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question is, like, what do our internal resources look like for our associates? We talked a little bit about the Career Choice Program, but I know I'm very fortunate to have a great, we call it PXT, that's our human resources team, people, experience, and technology. And that group really has came out and bargained to get some of the best benefits in the industry, and all of our benefits start day one. So our associates on their day one, they're able to buy into like full health care, full dental plan, and then as they continue their time with us, like their benefits grow. Like Career Choice, if they're with us for 90 days, for example, they can go ahead and start enrollment in school. So that's a big part of the support background to make sure our associates have what they need. There's also a lot of enabling technology that's invested in, we call it the A to Z app. So it's an employment app for Amazon employees, and almost anything that you would need to talk to somebody through, like let's say your time clock was wrong, or there's a benefit you want to look into, or a tool, it's integrated in that single source app. So an associate can do that from home. They can do it at work on break. So they can have that technology at their fingerprints instead of always having to go ask somebody or go to a desk or a PhD person to get a packet to explain those things. And then finally, like we have a really great, we call them affinity groups. So these are groups within Amazon that are really focused on diversity. Like we have a Warriors group that's for veterans. We have the Black Employee Network, we call that BEN. Latinos at Amazon, Asians at Amazon, families at Amazon. And these groups are active in our community like right now. So here locally, for example, like last year on Memorial Day, we had a pinning ceremony at one of the veterans cemeteries down the road from our building, where they go and honor those who aren't with us anymore. And then also, like, our BEN team is active through the food banks in our area, but also like we're doing interview workshops, we're doing resume workshops for a job, ideally with us, but maybe not all the time, because our true initiative is to like empower our associates to go and like do that next thing and use Amazon as a launch pad to get there. Yes, ma'am.
On average, I know you employ lots of thousands of employees, but on average, how many employees are there in one of those distribution centers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it varies by size. So we have, depending upon like what product that we're carrying and the market that we're in, our fulfillment centers are really tailored to like what the customers around that need. So there's a lot of variability in the size. It could go from a couple hundred folks all the way up to a few thousand folks that would be employed by a fulfillment center like that.
And do you do tours at distribution centers? Are there tours available?
I will defer that one to Andre. Like, I don't think that we're doing that right now, by and large, but in the future, that's a program that would open back up. We did this for a number of years up until the COVID crisis started, and as we've come out of that, that may be a program that we bring back. But we don't have that in our area right now. There's select facilities that do things like that. Cool. Yes.
Yeah, I know the hub was designed to be built in phases. Where are you in that? Is it as big as it's going to get, or is there more potential growth to come?
Yeah, great question. The question is, what we have today is like, how do we plan for future growth? So when we made the initial investment and the decision to be at CVG, we knew that over time, customers are going to expect more from us and need for this. And we wanted to be ensure that we could scale to the capacity that we think we need. We talked about the 5-year horizon on one of the planning cycles, that we have that capacity now, but we have the plan when that next plan comes that says our customers need more from us, that we already know the equipment we're going to buy, where we're going to build, what it's going to look like. That way it's, the flow of the property, which is really important in really fast and on-time shipping, is correctly versus kind of like a hodgepodge of different technologies or different buildings. So we look at that every year. I think right now our building is very well suited for what the customers need from us. And then on the horizon, whenever our customers demand more or need more space, we have the opportunity to expand the building, both in the existing structure that we have, but also to duplicate that building 2 more times, add on to the existing structure, and then grow from our ramp. For example, we opened with 25 aircraft parking positions, and we've already grown that to 32 outside as well. So some of that growth has already started, and then every year we just look at what customers need from us and see how we can go meet that. Yes, sir.
So my question is about the dreaded H word, holiday season. What were your key takeaways from the last holiday season? Where are you with implementing them right now for next year? And can you tell us a little bit about how you ramp up for the holiday season with employees, et cetera?
Yeah, great. I think everybody heard, but really, like, how do we look at the holiday season when it comes? We call it peak season at Amazon, and we think about peak season about a lot like the Super Bowl. So you've got a regular season where you're building up. You get into the playoffs. That's like the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now it's Prime Day or Prime Early Access sale. Those are all playoffs to get ready for the rush that comes in December. So everything that we build to culminates in what we aim and have demonstrated and delivered for several years now, a productive holiday season for our customers. So it starts basically when the last one ends. So even coming out of, we all high-five and had a great Christmas holiday, where our teams are right back in it, planning for okay, cool, so what are the things that we need to change or grow to make next year an easier holiday to win or to service more customers? So for example, this year we've had several mechanical, our building's still new, we're 18 months old, so we're a relatively new business, and it's challenging, rewardingly challenging to be new and to be big at the same time. So there's several mechanical upgrades in the building that make the flow of the site work a lot better, as well as looking at our folks and how do we invest in them to have the skills that they need to support the business as it grows. So it really starts, end of December, beginning of January. It's almost like a reset, and then we pace up to it through our planning cycles all year long to make sure we can deliver big for our customers. Yes, sir.
All of this is outbound, and you guys have a fabulous return system.
Mm-hmm.
How are you involved in that side of the business?
Yeah, great question. Questions: how are we involved in returns?
Or is that elsewhere?
Yeah, so we have a return center over in Hebron. We call it CVG2. It's been there for a number of years. And it's really been an interesting growth of the returns business. We went from having a couple dedicated buildings to returns to several buildings can do a little bit of returns and back and forth a couple times. So logistics of a return is obviously very challenging because we want to make sure you service a customer. That's one of the reasons as soon as you ship that item back sometimes, you see that you get your refund, even though that package hasn't got to our building yet. So the customer experience is really where we start first off in that, and then it's deciding based on the product type, where does it need to go so they can get handled correctly. And most of the inventory, it comes back, it's still in good shape. We can maybe sell that through a different avenue, or it's something like a shoe where you tried it on and it didn't fit, and we can resell an item like that because it's in great shape for our customers. But it's a huge logistics really wonder of the world when I look at what our returns teams do, and they've done in Northern Kentucky for a really long time, and it's an impressive growth, and because that scales with our growth as well. Good question. I think somebody in the back had a question.
Yes, I have a question about climate change. I really appreciate your company taking it so seriously, and I assume you're going to continue that, finding ways to address it. And my question really was about supply chain. How was your supply chain during COVID, and are you having lingering problems?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it couples with sustainability because, when we looked at how big the company needed to grow to support that demand, we wanted to do it right. And that's some of the investments in the Rivian technology and the electric vehicles, which not only like help on cost, so you get a cheaper product online, but also we're not putting that carbon into the atmosphere. So that's one area, just like our sustainable aviation fuel, that we're trying to pull carbon out of the air. But I think when you look at across the industry, it seems like there's little pockets of lingering COVID supply chain issues, but I think for the most part, things are getting back to normal, unless you're going to go buy a car or a truck, and surprisingly, that's not back to normal, and you play in the dealer market for those items. But I think we continue to see like positive momentum there, and we look forward to continuing to deliver for our customers. Cool.
Thank you very
Steve.
much. Thank you so much. Can you stay here for just a second?
Absolutely.
Just a couple of thank yous. Adrian Melendez, thank you so much for your presentation. Amazon truly is a wonder of the world. I also appreciate the moving heaven and earth that Andre Woodson did, the PR manager here in Cincinnati, to help make this event possible. We really appreciate your comments. Certainly the largest hub in the world, that really resonated. And of course, the investments that you're making in your employees and in preserving our environment, tremendous model. We really appreciate that. Adrian, you said you were new to Rotary, but clearly you have a heart for service to others. And as a token of our appreciation for you coming here, we'd like to give you a Rotary Club of Cincinnati coin. And you mentioned the four-way test on the back of this coin, of the it's the four-way test and the motto that we use to serve above self. In addition, we'd like to make a donation in your name to the End Polio Now campaign. This is a 4-decade effort, spearheaded by Rotary and others, to eradicate this disease from the planet. To date, there is only one confirmed case in 2023 in Pakistan, 0 cases in Afghanistan to date. So we're this close, and Rotary's going to help see it to eradication. If there's anything that the Rotary Club of Cincinnati can do to deliver some packages, I think we're open to service above self. Thank you so much for coming. And I have 2 final announcements. Let's see. We've got a Due Days ambassador training at the end of this meeting in this room. Due Days is a big community-wide project. It's going to be on Make a Difference Day in October. And next week will be Police Appreciation Day, RSVP by tomorrow. Let's have one more round of applause for Adrian Melendez. Meeting adjourned.